spins a web any size, catches thieves just like flies. Look out, here comes the Spider-Man.
That's right, guys. I'm actually going to do my first Spider-Man I Wonder video. Now, it's going to be basically like Dragon Ball I Wonder, only, with Spider-Man. And I'm also looking to do this with other superhero characters as well. Probably other stories and whatnot at some point. But for now, let's do the first installment of Spider-Man I Wonder. Now, one thing I've always wondered about Spider-Man is, particularly talking about the TV show. Yes, comic book people, you're going to have to wait for an episode devoted to that. But one thing I've always wondered about the cartoons is that, like, why haven't they made a good Spider-Man cartoon since, let's say, Spectacular Spider-Man, or even since Spider-Man TAS? And for those who don't know what TAS means, that means the animated series. It's basically like most of the series of superheroes that they called in the 90s. So, the Superman TAS, Batman TAS, Spider-Man TAS, Iron Man TAS, and Hulk TAS, so on and so forth. And X-Men TAS, so on. Now, one thing I've always loved about Spider-Man TAS was that I would say it's a good balance between like a Saturday morning cartoon and like content from the comic books. Because I actually read like wikis on it, and it actually said that it had quite a bit from the comic books, and they said it was the most accurate to the comics up to that point. Like, they had been making Spider-Man series since the 1960s, and this was the most accurate to the comics, whereas the other ones weren't as much. Now, there's quite a few characters I've enjoyed in this series, not just their voices, but their personality and so on. Like, of course, Spider-Man, but also others like Hobgoblin, Venom and Carnage, Iron Man, and so many others. Even the Black Cat. And I also really enjoyed the storylines of the series, and I noticed that the more it went on, the more complex the stories became. Like, at first they were rather simplistic, typical Spider-Man fights, Scorpion or Rhino or Shocker and stuff. But I noticed that near the middle, and especially near the end, they started to focus even more on comic book stories, like, for example, Secret Wars and well, I'm not sure like where Spider Carnage was from in the comics, like what specific story, but I definitely remember they focused on Secret Wars, which is a big event in Marvel, especially in Spider-Man. So, I always enjoyed the animated series. Even when I go back to it now, I could still watch it, which is more than I could say for most series from the 90s. Well, not most, but a lot. And I also remember somewhat Spider-Man Unlimited, and personally, I didn't like it. I thought it was complete crap, to be honest. The only thing I liked about it was that they did a fusion between Carnage and Venom. Varnage, I think, or something like that. And it turns out I wasn't the only one who didn't like the series. I read that the series got canceled after one season. Goes to show you what a mistake they made replacing TAS with this. Well, I guess TAS ended, but yeah, that didn't live up to Spider-Man TAS and its legacy or whatever. See, after that they made the New Adventures of Spider-Man, which I also saw some of, and I didn't really like that much either. And that was one of those shows that came and went. I wouldn't be surprised if that many people forgot about it. And after that, they had Spectacular Spider-Man, which, in my opinion, I actually liked it when it came on. I think that since the animated series, this is probably the most accurate to the comics, and not only that, but also the best representation of Spider-Man. And many also claim that it's actually the best representation of Spider-Man outside the comics. So, it's something that's very significant. And definitely a milestone in Spider-Man TV history. Now, like, the only thing I didn't like about Spectacular Spider-Man, I would say, was probably the the animation. But other than that, the series was good. Too bad it got canceled after 2 seasons. Oh well. Then we come to Ultimate Spider-Man. Good gosh. This is probably the worst Spider-Man series I've ever seen. And it's not that, like, it looks bad in terms of, like, animation, because the animation is actually pretty good. The only problem, well, not only problem, but the main problem I have with this series was just the premise of it, the lack of faithfulness to the comics. And that's the thing, I don't even read the comics that much, but even I could point out the flaws. Like, for instance, he doesn't work for JJ. One of the people that have inspired him to stay Spider-Man was Nick Fury. And another thing I didn't like about the show was there was way too many crossovers in season 1. It was so ridiculous. They had a crossover every freaking episode. I mean, that's one thing I've always been wondering. I mean, I could go on, but I don't want to save my further thoughts for other videos. But, I mean, to me, overall, Spider-Man TAS will always be the best Spider-Man series that I've seen. Although I like Spectacular, I do think there were certain things missing from it that Spider-Man TAS seemed to deliver for me. I mean, to me, TAS has always been the best, and I could still watch it, so that's a testament to just how good the series was. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the video. See you guys later.